Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to my humble home in Livingston, Montana. Okay, right off the get go, I debated and debated whether I should tell a story or not because I don't want my what few followers I've got or subscribers to think I'm running some kind of a porno site or some kind of a miserable channel where I that's all I talk about is sex or that kind of thing. Look, I'm 68 years old and I've lived a pretty full life, if you know what I'm saying. But I've been married for a lot of years and blah, blah, blah. And it just so happens that when I was younger, a lot of weird things happened to me. So, some of the things that happened to me had nothing to do with me. I was a victim of circumstances. Do you got that? I mean, crap happens, okay? Well, this was one of those deals where crap happens, and it had nothing to. I didn't initiate the story, but I'll tell you the story. Okay, back in the spring of 1974, I was taking AIT, Advanced Individual Training, MOS, Military Occupational Specialty, whatever you want to call it, in a place called Eatontown, New Jersey, and a place called Fort Monmouth. At the time, it was the U.S. Army's most elite signal school. That's why I'm a signal corpsman. You guys see me with the military hats on from time to time, and that's what that insignia is. Well, anyway, on this one in particular weekend, I was given leave, and I decided to go into New York City. But I had some buddies of mine that wanted to come, but they couldn't get off of duty as early as I did. They were running like, I want to say like 2 hours behind me or 3 hours or something like that. And I told them, I says, okay, look, I'll jump on the bus. It was a 45-minute bus ride into the Big Apple, and we agreed that we'd meet at Grand Central Station, the big bus station there. Now you guys got to remember, I'm a bumpkin, I'm a hillbilly, or whatever you want to call it, right off the ranches of Montana. I barely understand this business about pimps, prostitutes, people with sexual deviants, people with all kinds of sexually weird appetites and this kind of stuff. I'm a real idiot. I mean, I didn't come from that kind of environment, thank God. I find people like this to be weird, and I'm 68 years old, and I still find them to be weird. And if I stepped on somebody's toes, or whatever have you, I'm sorry, but I don't give a damn. Well, anyway, I get into Grand Central Station, okay? And I decided to go outside, have me a breather, and I'm standing outside that big old brick building. I'm looking around. I've never seen anything like this in my entire life. Broadway's right out there. You guys know how all that works, See a yellow cabs going by and whatnot have you. Okay, I stood out there for about 10 minutes, because I'm trying to figure out what to do, waiting for my buddies to show up, so we can hook up and go off partying and probably boozing it up and doing whatever we were going to do, like a serviceman used to do. Anyway, I'm standing there, and I remember this all too well. I got one boot, I'm leaning up against this brick wall, and I kind of, kick back old cowboy style with my, boot up against the wall, all that kind of a deal. And all of a sudden, here comes this dude, this little creepy example of a human being. I guess that's exactly the wrong way of putting it, but this. I was wary of the dude before he even got up to me, but he come a sauntering over my way, and right off the get-go, he introduces himself to me, and he sticks out his hand. Well, one of the first things that caught my eye was he had a fur coat on, a 100% fur coat. Now, I realize that in the big city, people do everything, wear everything, do whatever, but back where I come from, people don't wear fur coats. Not like that, not them fancy fur coats, but this guy had a full-length fur coat on, and he extended his hand, gave me his phony name, because I know he lied to me and everything, and I should got a clue right off the get-go, because he had real slender, skinny hands, and they were kind of clammy. As I shook his hands, I'm going, I don't know if you know what I'm getting at, but, I just, I'm one of these kind of guys that when I put my hand in a man's hand, I expect to feel a grip and a real good, handshake there. I don't want to feel like I got my hand in a bucket of oysters or something. Now listen, pay attention here, because this is a true story. I couldn't make this crap up if I had to. Like I say, I'll probably get thrown off of YouTube for telling this one. But this guy starts making small talk with me. He introduces me. He told me that he was part of the Hershey chocolate family. He was worth millions of dollars. That's what this guy said. And I'm going, oh, really? He goes, oh, yeah, my uncle, and he, I think the Hershey chocolate company, if I'm not mistaken, is in Hershey, Pennsylvania or somewhere. But anyway, that's what this guy's line was. That's what this guy's story was, that he was heir to the Hershey chocolate company, basically, And, and then he started making small talk, asked me, what my name was and where I worked. And, of course, I told him I was a soldier with Fort Monmouth, and I was waiting for some friends and, small talk like that. So he finally gets around to what he really wanted to talk to me about. Because there's always those people that, they come on to you, and they start making that small talk, but that ain't really what they're after, You guys know, you'd probably deal with them all the time. So anyway, this is no kidding, I'm standing there looking. This guy's a short dude, like 5'2" or something, 5'3". I mean, really short. And back in them days, I stood 6'6", and that's a fact, Anyway, this dude looks at me. He goes, no, look. He says, I don't want to get real personal here. I'm willing to pay you to do something, and he was basically trying to put my mind at ease, And he goes, because he was aware of the fact that I had a couple hours waiting for my friends to hook up with me from Port Louis, my fellow GIs, And this is what this cat proposed to me. This is no kidding. So, he says, I tell you what, he says, we got some time on our hands. My flat, back in them days, I didn't know they even called apartments flats. But he said that his flat was only a couple blocks away, and he wanted me to go to his flat, and this was his proposition. Straight up. He says, I want to strip down and get naked. And basically he was, to make a long story short, the whole idea was he was going to play with himself. Okay, I might as well just say it. I don't think I should get kicked off of YouTube for saying the word masturbate, but that's what the guy was wanting to do. And he, in front of a mirror, mind you, and he says, I'll pay you. This was his proposition. He says, while I'm doing this, he says, I'll pay you $10 a tomato. You guys know what tomatoes are, tomatoes, you know what they're. He says, I'll pay you $10 a tomato to his whole idea was to be bent over in front of this mirror with his rear end facing me, and he wanted me to, haul off and throw these tomatoes and hit him in the rear end. I know this sounds really stupid, but that's exactly what this guy was, that's what his proposition was, $10 a tomato. He was willing to pay me up to $3 I guess $30 to throw 3 tomatoes in his rear end. And I'm looking down at this little worm, this little maggot. Actually, I'm one letter off from what I really want to call him, but we'll just leave it at that. I'm looking down at this guy, and I said, "Say what?" Like that. So I had to repeat the proposition, because I really could. I just could not believe what I was hearing. I just couldn't believe my ears. And so I made him, like I say, I made him repeat his proposition, So he did that very thing. And I looked down at him and I says, "Tell you what there, partner. Tell you what I'm going to do." I says, "How about if we do this instead? How about if I pay you $20 and take my boot and kick you in the rear end so hard that my toe leather is winking at your tonsils? How about that? Now, my toe leather is winking at the back of your molars. Will that work out well for you? Will that help you along the way here?" And this guy, he looks up at me like this, and his eyes get about this big around, and he just wheeled around, and he goes, "Man, I don't want no part of this guy, man." Down Broadway he goes. And you see his fat little ass waddling down the... I am telling you guys, I don't know, man. I realize I live up here in Montana. I might as well be living on the moon and everything. But it is very safe for me to say that we got some weird people on the face of this planet. And I don't mind saying that. Real weird. And that guy was a perfect example of it. I was about ready to kick his rear end clear to Hershey, Pennsylvania. Okay, and that's the end of the story, and nothing else happened. Take care of yourselves. I hope I don't get kicked off of YouTube for telling this story, but it actually happened. I probably screwed it up, the wording a little bit. But anyway, take care of yourselves. We shall see you on down the trail. And basically, adios, my friends. And where's my button to quit here?